Australians spend billions on takeaway sandwiches every year, but most chains are hiding something serious. In this countdown, we'll investigate the hidden world of health inspection failures, food safety scandals, shrinking portions, and corporate betrayal inside Australia's biggest sandwich franchises. By the end, you'll know exactly which brands to avoid and which are the rare chains worth your trust and your money in 2026. Let's begin with number 9. Number 9, Quiznos Australia stands as a cautionary tale of what happens when private equity takes the wheel and drives a sandwich chain straight into the ground. Once a familiar name in food courts and high streets, Quiznos has collapsed from over 100 Australian outlets to fewer than 20, now clinging on mostly in airport terminals. The downfall wasn't just about changing tastes, it was engineered by a business model that squeezed every cent from franchisees. Store owners were locked into mandatory supply contracts, forced to pay up to 30% markups on core ingredients, making it nearly impossible to turn a profit. After the 2014 Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the US, the Australian arm never recovered. Franchises shuttered in waves, leaving operators saddled with debt and consumers facing patchy, inconsistent quality. While the damage is now limited by the chain's tiny footprint, Quiznos is a stark reminder that aggressive cost-cutting and corporate extraction destroy not just a brand but trust at every level of the sandwich experience. 8th place goes to Wrap Merchants, a sandwich chain that promised rapid convenience but left Australians holding the bag, literally. In just 2 years, Wrap Merchants ballooned from a handful of outlets to over 60, flooding shopping centres with glossy ads and discount gift cards. But by early 2024, the chain collapsed almost overnight, shuttering stores and voiding hundreds of thousands of dollars in unredeemed gift cards. Customers who thought they had prepaid for lunches found their credits worthless, sparking a wave of refund demands that flooded the ACCC. The regulator's 2023 dossier documented hundreds of complaints, with many customers alleging that Wrap Merchants misrepresented sandwich sizes, claiming 350 grams per wrap on menus, but independent tests found some weighed barely 210 grams. As liquidation filings mounted, the legal fallout exposed how easy it is for a chain to vanish, leaving consumers with nothing. Wrap Merchants stands as a warning. When expansion comes before accountability, it is the public who pays for corporate shortcuts. Number 7 is Oporto, where the promise of flame-grilled Portuguese chicken is overshadowed by serious food safety concerns. In December 2025, Oporto landed in hot water after an inspection flagged chicken products stored at 9 degrees Celsius, well above the legal safety threshold. That single lapse triggered an official action indicated notice and a 48-hour closure order at one New South Wales location, raising alarms about the risk of rapid bacterial growth in ready-to-eat poultry. For consumers, the danger is immediate. Chicken held above 5 degrees can become a breeding ground for salmonella within hours, and Oporto's failure to maintain proper temperature controls put every customer at risk. The fallout didn't end with health inspectors. Social media lit up with complaints after a viral video showed the chain's signature Bondi burger looking half its usual size, racking up over 1 million views and fueling accusations of shrinkflation. While these issues haven't hit every outlet, the combination of unsafe storage and shrinking portions signals a chain struggling to maintain standards. Oporto's missteps serve as a warning. When a sandwich chain cuts corners on safety and value, the cost is measured in more than just dollars. 6th place belongs to Sumo Salad, a chain that built its reputation on the promise of healthy eating but has repeatedly failed to live up to its own marketing. Sumo Salad stores are plastered with claims of low-calorie, nutrient-packed bowls, yet a 2024 federal court injunction forced the company to admit its calorie counts were misleading. The court ordered Sumo Salad to run corrective advertising after an ACCC investigation found several menu items contained up to 35% more calories than advertised, undermining the very health claims that drew in customers seeking better choices. The disconnect goes deeper. Between 2022 and 2025, the average salad bowl shrank from 550 grams to just 420 grams, even as prices jumped 12%. That means you're now paying more for less. A textbook case of shrinkflation hidden behind a greenwashed facade. International operations haven't fared better. In 2025, a workplace injury scandal at a Singapore outlet raised new questions about training and safety standards across the brand. Australian customers have taken to social media with complaints about small portions and inconsistent quality, with one reviewer writing, "For $16, I got a bowl that was mostly lettuce and barely any protein, definitely not what's pictured on the menu." Sumo Salad's health halo masks a pattern of compliance gaps, shrinking value, and regulatory run-ins that should give any health-conscious Australian pause before handing over their money. Fifth place goes to Hungry Jack's sandwich range, where the leap from burgers to deli-style sandwiches has exposed cracks in food safety and value. In 2025, Western Australian health inspectors found deli meats stored at 11 degrees Celsius, well above the legal limit for cold storage. That's not just a technicality. At those temperatures, bacteria multiply fast, turning a convenience lunch into a potential health risk. The problems don't end with temperature control. Customers in 2024 snapped photos of the turkey and avocado baguette, revealing portions that were 32% smaller than the year before, even as prices crept up. Complaints flooded social media, with many pointing out that what used to be a decent lunch now barely passes for a snack. The ACCC hit Hungry Jack's parent company with a $150,000 safety fine for button battery hazards in kids' toys, highlighting a culture where compliance seems like an afterthought. When a chain built for burgers tries to bolt on a sandwich menu without investing in proper systems, the result is a perfect storm of food safety lapses and shrinking value. With a national footprint, even moderate violations put thousands at risk and signal bigger problems ahead. Fourth place goes to Brumby's Bakery, an Australian icon hollowed out by corporate greed. When Retail Food Group took over in 2007, bakers who had built their livelihoods on real bread and local loyalty were pushed into a system designed for head office profit, not community value. Senate inquiry transcripts lay bare the tactics. Franchisees forced to rebrand, locked into overpriced ingredient contracts, and pressured to pay cash wages below award rates just to keep the doors open. More than 1,100 RFG-owned stores, including Brumby's, closed between 2011 and 2018, a wave of collapse that devastated small business owners and left shopping strips with empty, papered-up windows. The damage didn't stop at the register. From 2022 to 2025, the average Brumby's loaf shrank by 18%, a quiet shrinkflation that left customers paying more for less, with many reporting staler bread and smaller rolls. The pattern is clear. As RFG squeezed every possible dollar from franchisees, quality and freshness for everyday Australians fell by the wayside. Brumby's isn't just a cautionary tale about corporate overreach, it's a warning that when a trusted Aussie brand is gutted for profit, both workers and customers lose. Coming to the top three, Michel's Patisserie stands as a stark warning of what happens when cost-cutting trumps quality and safety in the Australian sandwich scene. Once a beloved fixture in shopping centres with over 300 stores at its peak, Michel's has been gutted by a series of corporate decisions under Retail Food Group. The chain's 2015 pivot from fresh, in-store cake and sandwich preparation to frozen, centrally produced goods marked the beginning of a steep decline. Customers noticed the difference immediately. Pastries and sandwiches that once tasted fresh now arrived bland, dry, and often stale, stripped of the handmade character that built the brand's reputation. But the damage didn't stop at taste. In 2022, an internal directive leaked to the media revealed that Michel's franchisees were instructed by head office to ignore use-by dates on products, a move that directly endangered public health and triggered alarm among food safety experts. This was not a one-off lapse, but a symptom of a culture that put profit above the basic standards Australians expect. By 2026, the fallout was complete. RFG announced the closure of the last 19 Michel's Patisserie stores, offering franchisees a forced choice between rebranding or walking away and leaving dozens of communities without their local bakery cafe. The consequences were not limited to store closures and disappointed customers. In 2020, a Queensland court found RFG had misled franchisees about product quality and supply agreements, breaching Australian consumer law. Lawsuits from burned franchisees piled up, with many losing their life savings. Michel's collapse is more than a business failure. It is a case study in how corporate shortcuts and disregard for food safety can destroy a brand, devastate livelihoods, and leave lasting scars on the communities that supported it. In second place, Retail Food Group's corporate model emerges as the central engine behind some of the most damaging patterns in Australia's sandwich industry. This is not just about a single failing brand, it's about a system that treats both franchisees and customers as resources to be mined for short-term gain. At its peak in 2015 to 2016, RFG operated around 2,500 outlets across the country, controlling household names like Brumby's Bakery and Michel's Patisserie. But beneath the surface, the Senate's Fairness in Franchising inquiry laid out a damning pattern. Over 1,100 store closures between 2011 and 2018, franchisees forced into contracts with inflated fees, and deliberate churning and burning of outlets to keep the cash flowing to head office and shareholders. The committee called this out as systematic exploitation, recommending that the ACCC be given new powers to halt the sale of franchises when a parent company shows a track record of abuse. For everyday Australians, the fallout is visible in shrinking portions, declining freshness, and entire shopping strips left gutted as stores collapse under impossible terms. RFG's model shows that when corporate governance fails, it's not just small business owners who pay the price, it's every customer who walks through the door expecting value and gets a shadow of what these brands once promised. And finally, in first place, Subway Australia stands as the single worst offender in the country's sandwich scene, a chain that has managed to disappoint on every front that matters to Australian consumers. The promise of "eat fresh" has worn thin, replaced by a reality of frozen, processed ingredients and a relentless squeeze on both franchisees and customers. Subway's signature steak sub, once advertised with generous layers of meat, now arrives with just a third of what's shown in marketing. Photographic evidence and lab tests have revealed a staggering 45% drop in actual meat weight over recent years. In 2024, a high-profile lawsuit put the spotlight on this deception, with plaintiffs alleging the advertised sandwich contained over 200% more meat than what was actually served. Store staff have reported being pressured to portion out fillings with digital scales, sometimes shaving off single grams to hit corporate targets, while vegetables often sit in bins for hours, losing any claim to freshness. The numbers tell their own story. Subway's Australian footprint has shrunk from over 1,400 stores at its peak to just 1,233 in 2024, a sign of a brand in retreat, not growth. Since the 2024 takeover by Rourke Capital, franchisees have faced new layers of pressure, from mandatory closure questionnaires to stricter supply contracts, all designed to extract more profit for private equity while pushing more risk onto local operators. Nutrition complaints have piled up, with multiple consumer reports of mislabeled calorie counts and sodium levels that don't match what's in the sandwich. In the most recent National Consumer Survey, Subway landed dead last among major sandwich chains, scoring just 2.1 out of 5 for value, an indictment of shrinking portions, declining quality, and a broken promise to Australian families. No other chain has failed so comprehensively on food safety transparency, value for money, and franchisee treatment. Subway's collapse is more than a business story. It's a warning to every Australian who expects honesty and quality from the food they buy. The collapse serves as a cautionary tale. First up in the winner's circle, Baker's Delight offers a rare example of what happens when a family-owned business refuses to cut corners. Since 1980, the Gillespie family has kept a tight grip on quality, insisting that every one of their 700-plus bakeries bakes fresh bread on-site daily. That commitment goes beyond marketing. Inspection records show zero critical food safety breaches, a clean streak that stands out in an industry plagued by compliance failures. In 2019, Baker's Delight was named the nation's best franchise by the Australian Retailers Association, recognition that reflects both its loyal customer base and the respect it commands among franchisees. The only recent blemish is a minor paperwork slip in 2023, when a single store couldn't produce its food safety supervisor certificate on demand. Hardly a scandal compared to the systemic issues seen elsewhere. Customers consistently praise the freshness and reliability, with many calling it the only chain bakery where the bread still tastes like it was made for you, not the shelf. While the menu is limited to bakery items, Baker's Delight proves that scale doesn't have to come at the cost of standards or trust. In the third place, Rolled Vietnamese shows what happens when a fresh, focused chain refuses to chase reckless growth at the expense of quality. Founded in Melbourne just over a decade ago, Rolled has expanded to more than 125 stores by 2024, no small feat in a market where many competitors have collapsed under their own weight. Instead of flooding shopping centres, Rolled has leaned into delivery innovation, rolling out drone drops across the ACT and Queensland with Wing, and even pioneering drive-through service for Vietnamese street food. When the pandemic hit, Rolled's pivot to delivery was nothing short of dramatic, a 950% spike in sales in 2021, driven by a menu that travels well and a brand that adapts quickly. Customer reviews average a solid 4.2 stars on Google, with many praising the flavour and freshness, though a vocal minority have noticed smaller portions and the occasional inconsistency. While some lament that the once hearty chicken roll isn't as filling as it used to be, Rolled's careful expansion and willingness to invest in technology set it apart. For Australians looking for a multicultural menu that balances health, speed, and real ingredients, Rolled delivers literally and figuratively, even if you sometimes wish the rolls were just a bit bigger. In second place, Ike's Sandwiches is setting a new benchmark for honesty in the Australian sandwich game. Launching in 2023, Ike's entered a crowded field but immediately stood out by delivering exactly what's promised: no smoke, no mirrors, just sandwiches that match the menu down to the gram. Independent portion tests confirm the average Ike's sub contains 220 grams of filling, precisely what's advertised, and a rarity in an industry plagued by shrinkflation and misleading photos. Where others quietly shave grams off their servings, Ike's has made portion transparency a core value, with every store displaying meat weights and ingredient lists that actually reflect what ends up in your hands. Compliance isn't just a slogan here. Ike's was among the earliest adopters of Standard 3.2.2a's digital food safety logs, allowing health inspectors to review temperature and sanitation records in real time. Since opening, Ike's has recorded 0 critical violations across Australian outlets, a clean slate that's almost unheard of for a chain expanding this quickly. Customers have responded, driving up Google review scores to a 4.6-star average, with repeated praise for generous portions and the rare feeling that you're getting exactly what you paid for. Ike's may not have the footprint of the big players yet, but it's already raising the bar for integrity, value, and food safety, proving that honesty isn't just possible, but profitable. And finally, in first place, Grilled stands as the gold standard for Australians who refuse to settle for shortcuts or hidden compromises in their sandwich. This is a chain that wears its values on its sleeve, Aussie-owned, fiercely independent, and unafraid to let the public scrutinise every step from paddock to plate. Since 2010, Grilled has committed to 100% grass-fed beef and lamb, and since 2016, every piece of chicken served is RSPCA approved. These aren't just marketing lines, they're backed by a supply chain that's open to third-party audits every single month, a move few chains will risk. After a bruising period of wage controversy in 2019, Grilled didn't just issue apologies, it overhauled its employment practices, culminating in an 83% employee vote in favour of a new deal in 2025. That's a level of staff approval unheard of in fast food. The improvements run deep. Since 2020, Grilled has subjected all 172 of its locations to monthly independent food safety audits. Problems found in the past, like temperature lapses or incomplete records, are now met with immediate public fixes. While others hide from scrutiny, Grilled invites it. In blind taste tests, Grilledi's healthy fried chicken bites took out the #1 spot nationwide in 2025, beating out every major competitor on flavour and texture. But it's not just about what's on the plate. The Local Matters program channels real money into community projects, and Google reviews average a robust 4.5 stars, testament to consistent quality and honest portions. When you spend your money at Grilled, you're not just getting a better sandwich, you're backing a business that's proven it can learn, adapt, and put people before profit. For Australians who demand transparency, taste, and trust, Grilled is the clear winner, proof that you don't have to compromise your standards for convenience. Across all 13 chains, one pattern is undeniable. When private equity and corporate shortcuts drive the menu, trust and value vanish, while risks quietly grow. Australia's sandwich market isn't just about taste. It's a battleground for your health, your wallet, and your right to honesty. In 2026, your lunch decision is a vote. Choose the chains that earn it. Which brand do you trust most? Drop your thoughts below.